Hello there, welcome to the continuation of our JavaScript tutorial. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the JavaScript if, else, and else if conditional statement. We introduced conditional statement briefly in our last video, and then we stated that conditional statement are a statement that helps us to make a decision, such as the if and the switch statement. So today we're going to be looking at the if statement and the switch statement. So in JavaScript, we have the following conditional statement. Use if to specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true. So we're going to be learning how to create conditions, and once those conditions become true, then a block of code is executed once the condition is true. Use the else if to specify a block of code to be executed if the same condition is false. So you can say if age is greater than 18, then the block of code to be executed, else a different block of code to be executed. Now, the else if. Use the else if to specify a new condition to test if the first condition is false. So you can have multiple conditions that you want to test. For example, you want to categorize employees based on age, and then you would start testing the age. Say, okay, if age between 20 and 30, young employee, between 30 and 40, adult employee, and maybe between 40 and 50, say old employee. Just an example. Or no, you want to categorize working experience. You say between 2 to 3 years working experience. You say an amateur or something. Between 3 to 5, you say intermediate. Between 5 to 10, you say expert or something. So the condition, the if statement helps you to check a condition, and if the condition is true, the if will be executed, else will execute a different block of code if the condition becomes false. But when you have multiple conditions to check, then you now have to use what? The if else if. So we're gonna look at the syntax now. The syntax is this: if condition in brackets, then the braces, opening braces and closing braces, will help to what? Define the block of code to what? To be executed. Can you see that? So if you want to, whatever block of codes, whatever JavaScript statements that you want to execute will come inside the opening braces and closing braces of the if statement. Note that the if is lowercase. Uppercase if will generate a JavaScript error. Now, example. Look at this example. Make a good day greeting if the hours is less than 18:00. So you say if hour less than 18, greeting equals to good day, right? So if the hours is less than 18, greeting is equals to good day. So like that. Now let's look at that. You can see the greatness is equals to good day. But what if I change the condition? For example, if I say if hour is greater than 18, the greeting is good evening, right? And why is that? Because originally we have good evening in our p tag, and so it means that this if statement was never executed. Why? Because the new date dot get hours is actually not greater than 18. So this condition was never true, right? This condition was never true, and so therefore this statement was never executed. Okay. the else statement now. Now, the else statement is to be used to specify a block of code if the condition becomes false, and this is how it goes. So this is the if statement originally, right? From here to here. So, but the else part, this is the else part now that says that, okay, now you attach this else part to the if statement to be able to specify a block of code to be executed if this condition here becomes false. So if we go back to our try it editor here, I can add an else, say else, this is my close braces. Inside my close braces now, I can decide to say something like this. Say good afternoon. Now, in that case, the good evening that was initially in our p tag will be completely what? Completely replaced, because there's now an else part here that says that if the condition is false, just put good afternoon in there, right? And so that's why we have good afternoon here, and because this condition was false. If I change the condition now to less than, of which it becomes true, you see good day. If I change the condition to greater than, of which it becomes false, you see the else part being executed, and then you are now seeing good afternoon in the p tag. So that's how the if else work. And here's an example. The else if statement. In this situation, we have maybe 2 or more conditions, for example. So in this condition, we need to use the else if statement to specify a new block of code to be executed upon testing the first condition and it result to a false. So you say if this condition is true, execute this one. Else if, now you are trying to specify a second what? Condition. Else if this condition 2 is true, then execute this one. But if condition 1 is not true, condition 2 is not true, else now comes into action. And so else, if none of the above conditions are true, just do this for me. I don't want to test the truth again. Just go ahead and execute this block of code. So example, if you look at this example here, we check the time and say, okay, if the time is less than 10, good morning. If it is less than 20, good day. If it is else, then good evening. So this is a very good example where we have 2 conditions. The first condition is time to be less than 10. And the second condition is time to be less than 20. And the third condition is the else part to be executed. So if I say try it, of course I'm gonna get good morning, because the hour is actually less than 10, and so therefore we're gonna get good morning, right? Then if I wait till 10 or some minutes past 10, or no, 11, and I execute the same code, it's gonna tell me good day, right? And if I wait till sometimes around 6 or around 8, and I execute the same code, it's gonna tell me good evening. So this is just the example of an if statement. You ever wonder some of these social websites that correctly greet you and correctly place you in your correct gender? Of course, they have to make a condition and check your gender, that if your gender is female, then this is the pronouns you're gonna use. You're gonna use he, she, her, and the rest. And you're gonna use a female placeholders and the rest. And if the gender is male, you're gonna be using his, he, and the rest. Okay, now we're going to the switch statement. The switch statement is also used to what? To make a decision. It's also a conditional statement, but behaves a little different from the if statement. They all do the same thing, it's just the syntax that are different. So the switch works this way. It starts with the keyword switch, right? Then open bracket, close bracket, expression. Now, this expression is your test, right? Then case. Case is testing the result of your expression, case X. So if this expression results to an X, execute this code block of code and break. Break means what? Terminate, stop. So if you don't put this stop here, it's gonna execute everything downwards. So you need to, your switch statement always needs to have the break. Case Y. So if this expression here results to a Y, then execute this block of code and break. Default now is the same as what else in the if statement. So if this expression does not result to X, does not result to Y, then just go ahead and execute this. So it's as simple as that, right? So for example, now the same if statement, if we want to use the same thing, you can see switch new date dot get day, case 0 day Sunday, break. Case 1 day Monday, break. Case 2 day Tuesday, break. Case 3 day Wednesday, break. Case 4 day Thursday, like that. Then you can now what? Display the day for the day. Okay, so a very good example. Let's look at that. So today is what? Today is Thursday. You can see that it executes it perfectly, right? Good. So why? Because the result of this expression results to a 4, and then we have this. So if I change the result here to 5, for example, and I run it, you see, it gives me Friday. If I say 6, because of the conditions I have, I say case 6. If it is 6, if the result is 6, and so the result of 6 is 6. If I say 7, now we have no default, right? So undefined. Now look at this. I'm going to add a default here. So before I can add a default there, I need a break here, right? Then I'm going to go back and say default column, right? Default, what do? I say day is equal to, I'll say invalid day, like this, right? And then I'm gonna end it with a semicolon. So if I run that, I'm gonna have what? Today is an invalid day. Okay, so that's just an example of the switch statement. Now the break keyword. So just an explanation. When JavaScript reaches a break keyword, it breaks out of the switch block. So every time JavaScript is in a block and it meets a break keyword, it breaks out. This will stop the execution inside the block. It is not necessary to break in the last case in the switch block. Yeah. Okay. Note, if you omit the break statement, the next case will be executed even if the evaluation does not match the case. So now, why we need the break this thing is for performance, to improve performance. There's no point going through all the other conditions, even though you know that the evaluation is gonna be false, but for performance, if you have a switch case that has maybe 10 conditions, so without the break, it's gonna still execute all 10 conditions before it stops. So the break is very important. the default keyword. The default keyword specifies code to run if there is no case match. The getDay method returns the week as a number between 0 and 6. We already know that. Okay, so let's look at this. Common code block. Sometimes you will want different switch case to use the same code. In this example, case 4 and case 5 share the same code block. So look at this. Case 4 and case 5 shares the same what? Code block. Case 0 and case 6 shares the same code block. That's very nice. Switching detail. If multiple cases match a case value, the first case is selected. If no matching case are found, the program continues to the default label. If no default label is found, the program continues to the statement after the switch statement. Now, the strict comparison. Switch cases use strict comparison. The values must be of the same type to match, right? So if you have something like this, the answer is gonna be what? No value, because if you look at this, it is 0 here, right? In value, correct? But in data type, this is what? A string. And the case needs both the result to be of the same value and of the same data type. So you have to be careful when using what? The switch case. Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's video. So in our next tutorial, we're going to be looking at the loop statement. Now, while the if and switch statement helps us to take decision, the loop for statement and the loop while statement helps us to repeat a number of tasks over and over and over again, over a number of time. And this is particularly useful in our day-to-day activity. For example, if you are a mathematician and you look at things like start to do with some arithmetic expressions that you have to repeat a certain number of tasks over and over and over again, and until you reach a certain condition before you stop, you realize that the while loop and the for loop comes in handy. So tomorrow we're gonna be looking at what's the difference between the two, how do we use them to repeat a number of tasks over and over a number of periods. See you in the next tutorial.